The United States of horror may contain some graphic or explicit content that is not suitable for all ages. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 3.
Hello.
Every time.
Hi.
Are we recording?
So, this is Kaylee.
And Brenton.
And Jeffy.
Oh, Jeffy.
Okay, episode 3. So, we all have,
Time to get serious.
time to get serious.
So, am I going to go first?
Did we already say we're talking about Colorado?
Well, we did now. So, I'm talking today about the Denver airport. The DIA, as most people call it. This Denver International
Do
Airport.
it all yourself. I'm sorry.
But now you're missing a Y.
Well, the Y is implied?
No.
So do it all.
There we go. That's better. Okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
Technicalities.
So there's a couple of things that surround the Denver airport that I found really interesting. When I was there a couple months ago, I did run into one poster board that I'll talk about today. So I'm just going to start from the beginning and get into everything more in depth as we go along. For the first, oh, you threw me off.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was just moving it closer to you.
You threw off my groove.
Oh, now we get sued by copyright for Disney. Good job. You don't mess with those guys.
Hey, whether we're being sued or not, being on Disney's radar is a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah, with murder and stuff. Murder and conspiracy.
That means they heard it.
Conspiracy.
Hey,
Disney.
they own Fox now. That means Deadpool is a Disney princess. So if Deadpool can get away with it...
I know we can.
Yeah.
I know, we can.
Okay, so to start off, there was an insane amount of money that went into building the airport, and not everyone is completely sure how it was spent. When Denver Airport opened on February 28th, 1995, construction had fallen 16 months behind schedule and $2 billion over budget.
Wow.
The final cost of the Denver Airport was $4.8 billion.
Billion?
Billion with a B.
Oh.
B. Billion.
Billion.
You cut it out last week.
Billion.
So, yes, 4.8 billion, which is a lot of money.
I can just imagine Dr. Evil.
Gosh.
We're in charge of an airport.
So it is a lot of money, and people wondered what it went toward, because the airport itself is 35,000 acres, which is almost twice as large as the next U.S. airport. So as we get into this, one thing I realize is the Denver airport is not your typical airport. And in all honesty, unless you don't know about it ahead of time, the airport experience seems the same. It is really nice. It functions very well. But when you're not really aware of everything that the Denver airport's about, it's no different than any other airport experience.
On behind the scenes stuff.
So if you do listen to this and you do have a chance to go to the Denver airport, I suggest that if you have some time, get there earlier than usual, because there's a lot of things hiding around. And something that's really cool that I found interesting too is a lot of people in Colorado know about it, but there's a statue outside of the airport titled Mustang, but it's been nicknamed Lucifer by conspiracy theorists.
Whoa, wait. That's a really tricky play on words.
Lucifer. Sounds like Lucifer.
What?
But is it blue?
Yeah, it's blue.
Oh, okay.
But here's where it gets interesting. The statue is 32 feet tall, and it weighs 9,000 pounds. Its eyes glow red at all hours of the day and night, causing some to speculate that the statue is meant to represent the fourth horseman of the apocalypse from the biblical book of Revelations.
Wait, I have chills. What?
The fourth horseman specifically represents death. Here's where it gets even better. The creepiest part is the statue's artist, Luis Jimenez, was actually killed by the statue in 2006 before the statue had been completed.
Oh.
A piece of the statue fell on him and severed his artery in his leg.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you.
Oh.
And they still put it up?
They still put it up.
They even put in memory of?
And I have photos that we can post with the podcast of the horse itself.
Oh.
So that's the truest topic out of all of this Denver airport situation.
Can I see the picture?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Way to ruin the notes, Kaylee.
No, that's fine.
Shut up, Jeff.
That's okay. It's not like we have all, everyone listening to us right now.
Ooh!
Can I see?
It's like... It looks evil.
Yeah.
Is that just... Like, it looks like that in all pictures? Like,
all pictures.
It's not just...
Its eyes look like that.
I
drove past
it.
We drove past it when we were heading out, or when we were heading into the
It seriously
Denver
does
airport.
look sinister. It doesn't look... Like, we have horse statues out here in Chino, and they're nice and, like, beautiful, but when I look at that, I immediately, like... Ugh.
He's blue and his eyes are, like, glowing red at day and night.
That's weird.
I haven't got a chance to see it at nighttime, but during the day it looks like they're lit up. It's intense.
It's lit.
So this is one of the interesting facts that I found as well, is the Denver airport does not cover anything up. One of the things that you can actually look all this up on is called the DEN files, DEN files. And it's the Denver airport specific website that lets you know about everything that conspiracy theorists believe in the airport.
So they just let it out in the open, that way people talk about it, okay?
Correct. So one of the statements that the airport actually left was, "So what's to come," is what it's entitled. And they stated, "Are we expanding the bunkers, revamping the lizards' layers, giving the gargoyles a much-needed makeover?" Not exactly. But if that's what you want to believe, we're not going to hinder your imagination. So dream on, travelers. Dream on.
So they accept it.
That's honestly a very tactful way. If whatever the conspirators say is true, let's say that everything is true that people are saying,
or whatever.
That is such a tactful way to address it, because if you acknowledge it, then
They think they're just playing along.
it doesn't leave any room for people to speculate further. Like, oh, they didn't say anything, so obviously it's true. But they're addressing it right off the bat.
And everything at once, so they're like, the sex sounds like they could be making fun of them, or could say, yeah, it could be true. At least all but this.
Yeah, they're not they're not denying it. They're not doing
it's real, but...
the way that they're handling all the conspiracy behind it. They're taking it to a whole new level, like to the point it's not your everyday airport.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get into details about why. So when you're walking through the airport, this is actually one of the poster boards that I saw, and there's a picture of a green alien making the shh sound. So with his index finger over his lips saying shh.
It's kind of cute.
It is kind of cute. And the poster says, yes, Den's got some secrets. And then in the smaller words, it says, since the airport's opening in 1995, there have been endless rumors and theories. People say our underground tunnels lead to secret meeting facilities for the world's elite. Our blue horse is thought to be cursed, and some believe we are connected to the New World Order, the Freemasons, and the home of the lizard people. So they're using it as advertisement. Everything that's been put out there with them, like this is just on the wall as you're walking through the airport.
They accept it and they just brand it out for everyone to see.
Right. And then
awesome.
Another poster is coming soon. A secret portal to the underworld. B, streamlined security. C, another misunderstood mural. That's going to be funny because I'm going to talk about the murals that they have up in the airport. Another one is, what are we doing? Adding amazing new restaurants and bars, building an Illuminati headquarters, remodeling the lizard people's lair, and there's a picture of a lizard in a suit. So these are posted throughout the airport.
That's funny.
It is.
Their marketing team they got a sense of humor.
They're awesome. And that's why it's almost like going to Disneyland to some extent or something like that. Because
and trying to look for hidden Mickeys.
Exactly. And that's what it is everywhere you go in the airport. Like I said, I noticed that because it was a big green alien right by the baggage claim.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't notice anything else that was there. Because you're in such a rush to get out, you want to be done.
Yeah.
But if next time I go, I'm going to be paying attention. Or I'm at least going to get there like 2 hours before my flight so I have time to explore everything.
Look at the roofs, look at like little crooks and crannies and stuff.
So, and then here's where it gets interesting is we'll post pictures because it's kind of hard to describe these murals that they have. But for literally no reason, airports are generally extremely sterile places that suck any joy out of life. But the off-kilter art of Denver International Airport, the DIA, which was opened in 1995, has earned it a bit of cult following. One of the pictures is a mural of something that looks like a Nazi soldier holding an AK-47, holding in his other hand a sword that is stabbing into a dove, with broken buildings, a rainbow color in the top corner, and a fading painting of different people in agony or sadness. One person actually tweeted this, a gentleman named Eric Sunderman. He tweeted at Eric Sundy, "Back in the Denver airport, quite possibly the most demented place on the planet."
Oh,
And
he felt that strongly.
He felt that strongly about it. Here's a picture of it.
What? Wait, what?
Which we will post with the podcast.
I thought maybe it was just
like a picture,
like one of those murals with like mashed together something abstract that people were getting this image.
Oh no.
But it's literally exactly what you described.
Exactly what I described.
What the heck?
Can I see? I want to see.
Nope.
Wow. Yeah.
Interesting, right?
That's brutal.
It's disturbing. Like,
so that's one of the murals.
like,
and that's why that
I
joke...
mean, it's a... I can't even say it's a cool picture. But it's just out of place. An airport? Like
yeah. And this is one of the things that I like, too, is going back to the airport's ability to look this straight in the face and just kind of deal with it full on. Yeah. Is one of the posters says, "Another misunderstood mural."
Yeah.
So
I got, this sounds weird, but I got like a Russian vibe from it.
Russian?
Like Russian, yeah.
But there's I know there is one or two more murals. And the artist is Leo Tanguma, Tanguma.
Sure.
Tanguma. And that one is entitled "Children of the World Dream of Peace." There's another one where there's a bunch of children from all ethnic backgrounds holding different flags, and they're all destroying swords over a metal, like an iron, what are the, like in the cartoons.
Like
they look like a giant hammer, and they always smash Wile E. Coyote. Like an anvil. Anvil.
Anvil.
I don't know.
Okay.
How do you guys say
Well,
it?
they're destroying the swords over that.
I can't speak English.
And I'll show you guys this picture too, so that way you guys have an image as I continue.
Okay.
But all of these are set individually in the airport, but they all go hand in hand. So the last thing I'll leave with in this is, in the left panel of "The Children of the World Dream of Peace," children from many cultures come together to destroy swords and daggers that are sheathed in flags of many nations. In a smaller right panel, which is the Nazi soldier, impales a dove with a saber while brandishing a machine gun, in peace and harmony with nature, which also spans two panels featuring one scene showing bountifulness and diversity of natural life. So there is another picture that I could not find. I'm sure it's out there. So basically, all of these paintings are individually disturbing.
Yeah.
But when you look at them as a whole, they were all done by the same artist.
I was about to say, they all look like the past. If you don't know your past, you'll end up repeating it. Your present is what they're doing right now, and the future is getting rid of all the weapons together and like the New World Order, like all coming together. So that's what I was thinking when I saw all of them. It was like this would happen like World War II or World War I. What's happening now and in the future. That's what I was seeing. And
that's where a lot of the conspiracies come in. So they're all entitled "In Peace and Harmony" or "Children of the World Dream of Peace." So it's past, present, and future. So while one depicts the extinction of animals and cultures at the hands of modern humans, the murals which were commissioned for the airport during its construction certainly contain multi-layered images of mysterious, perhaps even apocalyptic nature. But clues to a secret alien Illuminati plot. And then it says, "I doubt it. More likely conspiracy theorists are seeing what they want to in the composition's charged imagery, rather than Tanguma's overt illusion of the dangers of war and climate change." And when you look up the artist, he's actually he's a modern day, there's a type of Hispanic art, and that's what all of these are based off of.
Like those pictures where you see you see 8 different things in that one. Like you'll see a face, but you'll see like an old lady.
Yeah, it's like a collage mural, and his techniques and his skills come from a Hispanic
traditional upbringing.
I don't know the word I'm looking for. It's a Hispanic type of art that he's implementing.
I know what you're talking about.
These. So the Nazi represents the past of how one person can dominate over nature and people. And then the other one is women and children and everything kind of living in peace, but all the people are above the nature.
Yeah.
And then that last one is all the children
everyone.
destroying the idea of war and
supporting nature and
sacrificing aggression for future peace. And that's why the children are destroying everything, because they're the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're actually very iconic, and when you really get into it, it's actually
beautiful.
very beautiful and deep.
Yeah.
But conspiracy theorists have completely...
Or you never know, because that's what...
Well, it's...
Everyone sees something different, so...
And then there's also, like, statues of gargoyles all over the airport. I mean, just completely randomly
It's
placed.
just, the art is beautiful. The gargoyles are beautiful.
Yeah.
But...
They're so weird together.
In an airport? Like...
That's so... Yeah.
It is. It is completely random. And...
You see those in, like, on top of churches, not in an airport? Like, are they just throughout the whole airport?
They're randomly throughout.
And I guess that's probably everyone's confusion.
There's one more interesting thing is they had a plaque to commemorate the airport's opening. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say that there might be a time capsule underneath it to be opened in like 2029. But there wasn't any like public displays of, hey, we're putting a time capsule in here, or there's not anything to support that there is one.
Yeah.
Like
but there's more conspiracy with it because I'll get the picture for it later, but it's a plaque. And it has what looks like an Illuminati sign.
Illuminati.
And
Confirmed.
There's a G in the middle of it that represents the New World Airport government or something. And I'll be able to get the details on that, or I'll post the picture later. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's full of conspiracy theories, but out of everything, the most true out of all of this is the Blue Horse. Lucifer.
Yeah, that's kind of
like the artist.
Because that's actually
the artist died. His eyes constantly glow.
his soul could went into that horse. And
There's a lot of There's a lot of speculation.
That's why
as far as the horse. That's the most interesting part to me.
That's conspiracy and paranormal, guys. Double whammy.
So yeah, Denver Airport though. I mean, you can go on denfiles.com and look at all of this for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love it. Some people were kind of like, this is a conspiracy. You guys have Nazis and everything. And it's almost like the person in charge of everything was like, let them think it. Let's put up some signs. Let's make this as enjoyable as possible. I mean, it's free advertisement.
Yeah.
You know, if people are going to run away with it, we might as well embrace the fact that it's interesting.
Is it stuff you see before you get out of security, or?
I think it's all over the place.
All over?
Oh, okay.
That's wonderful.
One of the
awesome.
pictures I recognize, there's, because it's multiple levels. Okay. And one of the things that I did recognize was you go down an escalator to get to like a main security section, and they have two separate security areas. They have a north and a south.
Yeah.
And they're both big, but if you're standing at the certain spot, you can see the entire the entire floor plan for security. Mm-hmm. And then, but when you're looking at the picture, you can see all the individual things that they post and talk about. Okay. So it's kind of like an Easter egg hunt when you're there. If you want to look for it, you will find it. So, and sometimes they have random signs like, this is where the aliens come out. This is where they like to hang out when everything's quiet, you know, like just random stuff that's so much fun to enjoy. So it's definitely interesting. I would definitely look it up if you have a chance.
Yeah, and we'll post pictures as well. We'll get pictures and have them posted probably the same day the podcast comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, can be assumed, but I know I don't think we ever straight up said that we'll have them come out on Wednesdays.
I mean, either or. I'm not sure where to post them in relation to the podcast.
No, I mean, I'm announcing officially that our podcasts
Wednesdays?
are coming out.
Yeah.
The episodes
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Every Wednesday.
I don't think we officially said it.
No. Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Maybe we said it on Facebook.
Bam.
Which means one of them is going to come out on my birthday.
Oh.
No one cares.
Because my birthday's on a Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday. You get 2 views.
Happy birthday, Brenton.
It's in 2 weeks. We have time.
Okay, but next week, though, we have to plan because when it comes out. So, like, for example, I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Because when it comes out next Wednesday, we're going to be past Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and other mothers that are out there in the world.
3 days
Fathers
later.
who assume the roles. And everyone in between.
Yeah. So what do we have next, guys?
So I decided to do the Chesman Park I didn't know anything about it really, but it was originally a cemetery that got built into a park.
I love cemeteries.
So I'm not going to say too much about it, but I just wanted to let you know it was a graveyard and then a park.
That's your story.
Why wouldn't you say too much about it?
But like, there's more to it than people just realize.
Okay.
Well, you should discuss it.
That's why I'm going to right now.
Oh, okay.
That's why I just want to ruin it by.
If you were confused,
got it. You're not going to say a lot right now, but you're going to explain it later.
Okay.
I'm just
if you were confused, drop a like.
Yeah, I'm saying it was a cemetery, then it got turned into a park. So
we can all misunderstand together.
In the heart of downtown Denver, built in 1858 by General William Larimer, Larimer. Lemire, yeah. And
so wait, what's his name?
General William Larimer.
William Lemire. Got it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to watch you struggle for that again.
So in 1858, this was really big with people coming over just claiming land and stuff. And so this general guy just like, oh, I want a piece of this land. So he took it. He owned it. He helped with the Indians own this land and took it away from the state and the town owning it. So
he took it away from the state and gave it to the Indians.
No, he took it from both. So, but
Should
he worked.
We use the term
Indian?
Native American?
Native
American. And actually, they were owned by Arapaho Indians.
Okay.
So that's who. It was technically they owned it, but then St. Charles Town Company tried claiming all that for themselves, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to use this for a cemetery." It was called the Mount Prospect Cemetery. It had several large plots of land and like a lot. Like I forgot, it was like 1,000, 2,000 acres, something like that. It was huge.
2,000 acres?
Something like that. It was huge.
That's a lot of dead people.
Yeah. I don't know. I might double check on that. Okay. So yeah. Well, they can look it up too. So.
You guys Google it.
I'm making them.
We're not here to freaking cater to you.
Fact check me.
When you
History.
When you say fact, it sounds like fat.
What did you say about me?
Fat check me.
No,
yeah.
You look good.
So when he helped make this cemetery.
Time out.
All right. So Mount Prospect Cemetery, and he had several plots of land and all that stuff, and he made 3 separate areas. He made one for the rich, the middle class, and the poor.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even when you're dead,
1850s, early 1900s.
So if you're poor and you die, you get the muddier patches of land.
That's how it was.
1858. So before like all these major cities were even popping up over here. First man buried in the cemetery was named Abraham K. He died from a lung infection. That was the first reported death. But there was apparently a couple of hangings that were never reported. There was one tombstone that had like 3 different names, and it was all crossed off, and the original name was Abraham K.
What are they, like, burying people on top of each other?
The second man...
He doesn't even address that question.
So are they, though, like, just burying people on top of each other, and then whoever died last gets the...
I'll get to it.
Okay.
So, yeah. So the second man was buried there was a Hungarian immigrant named John Stoffel. He shot his brother-in-law because they're both gold prospectors, and they both got greedy.
Yep.
So, he shot his brother-in-law because he wanted his money. So the whole town, there was 1,000 people there. They all grabbed him and hung him up. Hung him to death.
I'd kill you for extra money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Especially if you're trying to steal from me. I was trying to steal from you.
I'd kill
you. It was a whole town group effort. They all just grabbed him, hung him, and they threw both the bodies into a grave.
Jeez.
So, yeah. That was the first reported one.
If you have 200,000 acres, I mean, I don't see why
whatever
you're
it was.
saving space. Like, we're almost out of room.
So it's 200 acres originally, right? Okay, imagine 200 acres for one town for a cemetery. There was a bandit hideaway area to the north of it, so there was a lot of bandits coming in and out of the town, raiding, shooting each other, stealing stuff. And a lot of the poor and diseased bodies, whenever they died, they kind of running out of room, so they just started throwing them in piles with each other. Sometimes
awesome.
3 to 4 bodies in one grave.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're just like, hey, you see those dead bodies over there? Yeah, just grab them, shove them in there. Just put some little dirt, it'll be fine.
Cover them with a little dirt.
The owner got in trouble pretty much. That guy, in general, he got in trouble because there was just too many bodies. So he ended up selling it and leaving and whatever. So the new owner...
So here, you deal with it.
Yeah, pretty much. Because they kept saying, well, why is there like 4 bodies in one little grave? here you go, this guy's now. So he started, taking over, and he was trying to work with the Indians, trying to make it better. But that ended up getting grave
The Native
rot.
Americans.
Yeah, the Native Americans. Native Americans.
He started working with the Native Americans
to make it better and try to fix it, but it kept getting tombstones were broken, randomly dug up stuff, tried to steal stuff from the grave. So he ended up not really doing a good job either. So he sold it to the town of Denver.
So another case of, here, you deal with it.
Yeah, except it was a grand scale with Denver.
Okay.
So, it went from
Give
this
it
one
to the
guy
state. Yeah.
to these guys, and then the Native Americans, and this new guy, Native Americans, and this guy sold it to Denver. Get it all out of the way, right? It's all theirs.
Yeah.
Once
Stop,
owned by the city, it all started getting separated into religious areas and such, trying to make it more organized. The guy in charge was some congressman, some governor. So he started separating it. All the Irish were here, all the Jewish people were here, all the old people were here. But how they don't really have a track record of everyone that died. So they started trying to separate it more. They're just trying to clean it out. So an old senator, my name is Teller, he wanted to transform the cemetery into a park and revamp it, make it beautiful. Because it's going to be part of Denver's history. So he started well, what if we move the bodies to a new location and get rid of them and just, get rid of these tombstones?
Ooh, I said something good happening.
After a while, he was given permission from them to do that. And they only had 50 days to transfer all the bodies out to wherever they needed to go.
They gave you a time limit to transfer graves?
Thousands and thousands of bodies in that 50 days.
If I were them, I would have been make sure you have every single one. Be thorough, not get it done in 50 days.
Yeah, because how this one guy in the town, they started organizing it, and they're like, oh, let's just make it into a park. Let's move the bodies. It's well, what are we going to do with these thousands of bodies? Well, just bring them back to where they belong. Just give them back to the cultural people, or if they're Jewish, give them back to the Jewish people. Move over here. Well, we had 3 or 4 bodies in one grave. We don't know who these people were. Just put them somewhere else in. That's pretty much what they said. They said, or just go dig deeper and just put them there. Leave them there. Wow. Yeah, it was...
Yikes. What a time.
Yeah, and...
to be alive or dead.
Yeah. So the park...
Either way, something's happening.
The park was renamed... The park became the Congress Park. The undertaker at the time was not the governor, but the guy who was helping the governor. Started charging money for caskets to transfer the bodies out into the new area. So, how they had 3 people buried in one spot? I think I know who this belonged to, so that'll be $2 for a casket. So he started charging people to bury bodies in other places. So this guy was making money.
Who was he charging? The leftover family?
Anyone. Yeah, if leftover family, if their name was on it, you'd charge him for 3 or 4 people.
I know you're still grieving over your grandpa, but give me money because I got to move his dead body.
And I know there's 2 other bodies in with him at the same time, but you need to pay for them too.
Wow.
I know
otherwise,
you have no idea
otherwise you can go out in the middle of nowhere and just throw it in the desert.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So, and he also started thinking about it too. He's like, well, I could technically cut up the bodies and parts and put them in child caskets and charge more. Charge $3 for them instead of 2.
Shut up.
So that's what he did with some of them. Wow. So this casket was around $2 and he started getting, the $3 or whatever out of it. More looters started to appear, started to take things. They would dig up the bodies and just leave them there overnight, and people would come, oh, look, a diamond ring or whatever. Ooh, an old belt, and they just take it from the dead person.
That's horrible.
Looting from a dead, corpse.
Grave robbers.
I mean, stealing is bad anyway, but to steal from someone who's deceased, you're just asking to be haunted.
Oh, yeah.
Or possessed, or cursed, or just bad karma for being a terrible human.
But the reason he got away with this is because he's like, well, I can use, 3 child caskets for 1 coffin. So he was actually able to fit more bodies in that way. And
by chopping them up.
And then I guess the park owner in the town is like, okay, we don't care. I mean, whatever can help organize it all. So they started saying that, the Jewish community, they got their people, and then, the Irish got theirs, the Native Americans got theirs. So pretty much the outlaws and all those people who had no names were just buried there, left there, just thrown in with these people.
I just had a disturbing image.
Yeah, imagine all the little kids with the thugs and the rapists and stuff mixed together in the bones in the same casket.
That's horrible.
But guess what, guys? He got caught after a while and by other congressmen. The contract became void with the town and everyone. And ended up, the town was like, okay, we're just going to leave it here. Don't worry about it for 40 or 50 years. We just won't worry about it because this is out of
They
control.
don't really have anybody to hand it off to.
No.
Yeah, they don't. They can really do auction bodies.
Who wants this cemetery?
So yeah, it sat around for 40, 50 years untouched, just left there. So if the body was sitting out, left there. So he was caught I think 2 or 3 months after all this started happening. So it was going on for a while. Let's see now, that happened around 1858, 1862. So it was around the 1900s is when they started actually, taking care of stuff and actually just buried all the bodies, really. They just threw it all in caskets, just buried it all. Because they started getting some ghosts and stuff recently.
Oh,
and
really?
some weird, demonic kind of stuff. And they were kind of freaked out for it.
Well, if I was just left in the middle of the field, in the middle of a broken down cemetery,
I'd be haunting somebody.
I'd be pretty pissed off.
So the most type of hauntings there are children
Oh.
and women crying.
Oh.
Yeah. That, and then there's a couple, I guess, creepy guys in the corner behind the trees. Just old time, outlaws just watching you, laughing. So, but most of the time it's the children just playing with each other, old fashioned clothing and stuff, playing Ring Around the Rosie.
Because the poor babies had their lives taken or they lost their lives so
or
young.
Sickness, or anything, so.
And then their bodies were disturbed after that too. Oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah, and there'll be a woman singing, walking around slowly in a big old dress. And then she'll just stop, turn around, scream in high pitch, and her face will start drooping, and then she'll just disappear in the smoke.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's apparently they will see her walk around with an umbrella. They'll just see her walk around everywhere throughout the whole park.
We need to go there.
Yeah, we do.
When you're there, you'll feel terrible sadness in certain areas and dread, constant dread, constant anxiety the whole time. And then some parts will be just fine. And then you hear the child laughter, and you'll feel comfortable, but you'll feel pity.
That's how I'm feeling right now.
If you have your car kind of pulled in there, you'll be just sitting there, all of a sudden you hear a knock on your back window or something. Yeah, I did that. But actually, I use it for something important. You actually hear windows, and you have the window down.
Freeze. He was waiting. He knew that moment was coming in his story. He's like, "Oh, don't worry."
I planned that yesterday.
It's like when a cat makes eye contact.
Pushes something off the counter and just looks at you straight in the face.
Yeah, that's exactly what...
All right.
Okay. No.
So yeah, they'll hear random knocking on windows and stuff, or somehow you ever heard a thump on a tree? They hear that sound. I only heard it once or twice, but people were really pounding on it, but that must take a lot of force to make that a thumping on a tree.
Yeah, because they're solid wood.
Really solid wood. And also, you'll be sitting there, start hearing shovel sounds. And then you turn around and see behind you, it will go away. As soon as you look back, start happening again.
Yeah, we gotta go.
July.
So, and at night, if you have a chance, lay in the grass, and you could feel kind of woozy and out of it. You'll try to get up, you lay down in the grass at night. You won't be able to get up at all. You'll feel heavy burden, something's burying you alive.
Awesome.
Or someone's
so don't lay in the grass.
or someone's holding you down. You feel like you're suffocating, something's around your neck.
Awesome.
Yeah. What's your thoughts about that?
I want to go.
Yeah.
So this is just some reports. I was listening to some of the people's stories. Some of them were kind of but some of them they're talking about the children, and they saw the 4 or 5 children running around, and they just started busting up crying. So they went and started walking towards them, and they just all around the opposite way. That's when they saw the outlaw behind the tree.
It's awesome.
So
Ooh, I want to go.
Yeah.
That was the Cheesman Park.
Cheesman Park?
Cheesman. Yeah.
Right.
So it had different names, but after Congress Park, it became the Cheesman Park by in Denver.
Wow.
Any major concerns, questions, comments?
No, not really. I really want to go.
Yeah.
I want to lay in the grass.
No, that's a trip.
I'll lay in the grass.
You can lay in the grass.
But you guys have to be right there.
You want to know something? I feel like that every day of my life anyway, so it's okay.
Flarp.
Oh.
Hiding real pain.
Anyway.
Anyway. Yeah, that was a very good story, and I really want to go there now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to
very
definitely look
interesting.
more into it because I was just browsing it. I'm so glad I looked into it because this is really fascinating and pretty cool.
There's a lot of crazy history to it. So, okay, they turned it into the park, right?
So it was
They
cemetery, and then they tried to make it into another kind of a cemetery that failed. Made it into a park. That park was kind of still a cemetery, half and half. and they made it a full park now.
So I guess I do have a question then. Did they move all the bodies, or are
No,
there still...
There's still bodies there. No, because that's what I was trying to say. There's still, those thousands of outlaws, thousands of no-names that were there.
Okay, so you might have said that then and I just missed it, or...
Yeah, I kind of jumped around it. But yeah, they still have thousands of bodies still in graves.
Goodness.
Two to three. Like, they have unmarked graves still.
They're asking for poltergeist activity.
They had graves on top of graves.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's
like poltergeist kind of stuff.
We gotta go.
Yeah, no, we have to make a point to go there.
Yes.
Terrifying.
Denver. Let's go see the aliens, conspiracy in the Denver airport, and then go see some ghosts.
Perfect.
Stuff. So,
Sounds great.
That was our stories. How about you, Kelly? What are you up to?
What are you up to?
What are you up to this week?
So, unfortunately for Colorado, there's actually been quite a few, major
Murders.
Yeah. This one's pretty well known, but there's layers to it as well. So,
should I get comfy?
Yeah, you probably should.
You might as well get blown. You know of the story.
Yeah.
I know of the story, but I don't know anything that happened either.
It is still pretty recent. There's a lot of people who are affected by this in a major way, and unfortunately there's still things like this happening, and so it is kind of a sensitive topic, and I want to remain sensitive to that, but also it's just insane. And like I said, there's so many layers to it. As I started digging more, I found more and more and more, and I was like, oh no. So I'm going to be talking about James Holmes. He's the man who committed the Aurora shooting.
Oh, okay.
In the movie theater. Yeah. Or what did they call him? The Dark Knight shooting.
Dark Knight.
James Holmes walked into a theater July 20th, 2012 and opened fire onto the crowd in the movie theater. They released the footage of his psychiatric evaluation, and it is multiple parts. It's up to an hour and a half to 2 hours long, each part.
Wow.
So it's very lengthy. There's a lot to it, and they start from his childhood and go through everything. I didn't watch everything. I couldn't have. Yeah. Because the amount that I watched anyway, I mean, I would be so into it that I looked at the clock and was like, oh.
But yeah, they're trying to figure out why. Like, why would you do such a thing? Like, why would someone sane do that?
Yeah.
Where can you find these videos?
So the videos are on YouTube. They're kind of in a weird order, and the person who uploaded them, they didn't set it up in a way where you could watch it in sequence, or at least I didn't find it. So I had to just kind of click through and figure it out. So it's very sad, but I'm going to do my best to present it factual, and I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm just trying to go over the facts of the case. And anyway, enough of that. In the videos of his psychiatric evaluation, he's very calm, pretty much monotonous. He states several times he doesn't like to talk. And so a lot of the times he has to be pushed into answering, and his answers are just very short and general. The doctor really has to push him to give him more descriptors. One thing he does mention is that he's pretty much sedated all of the time. They're medicating him with antipsychotics, antidepressant medicine, things like that. The doctor at one point, he goes, "Your pupils are super dilated." And he's like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "Have they always been like that?" No. So I guess he's just super drugged out.
In these interviews, okay.
Yeah, very drugged out.
Yeah,
People say that it comes off like he doesn't care, but he does say a few things that make me think otherwise.
Maybe he's thinking of what you say before he says it. That's why he's so short. Maybe he's like, no. And he tries to think of something to say, and then he gets asked something else.
Well, when he's talking about his childhood, it sounds a lot like, me growing up with my family. Something that he mentioned that his sister and him did was they went out front, dug a hole, filled it with water, and played water park is his term.
We've all done that.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything that he's explaining is very similar to, you or I's childhood.
Yeah.
He didn't have a super close relationship with his family, but from what he says, his parents were very loving and supportive. I mean, they bought him his car. They sent him to college and paid for him. Not only were they paying for his schooling, but they were also sending him money for food and to live off of. So they were basically supporting him while he was going to school. So it's not like he didn't have support. He had people who loved him and supported him. So how does someone who's loved and supported, who is extremely smart, he graduated high school with a 4.0, and in college he had a 3.9.
3.9. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was right there at the cusp of having a 4.0 in college as well. He was studying neuroscience. So, I mean, like, he's smart. He's not...
So what would make him snap?
Well, it's a lot to unravel. And that's kind of what I found out. And that was my biggest question is why?
Why?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to me. Why would someone with all the love and support in the world, he had friends, he had a social life, he had a girlfriend. What happened? What in there caused him one day or whatever, however long he contemplated this, to just decide that...
Speak of wax.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What caused you to snap?
Yeah. So, he does say why, but I'm going to tell you later.
He does. Oh.
So, his parents are also... There's a video of them on YouTube where they were interviewed, and they talk about the effects that it's had on them as well. Which, well, it's hard for people to take sympathy from the parents or the loved ones of someone like James Holmes.
Who, like, could have raised him to do that. But,
yeah,
like,
exactly. It's really easy to sit there and blame the parents.
Like Ted Bundy's mom and family and stuff.
Yeah, or the girlfriend or whoever.
Yeah.
To sit there and blame them or try to put part of the blame. When someone's hurting, you know, it's easy to point fingers.
Yeah.
But they're very affected. I mean, when they were talking, they said that they keep a list of all of his victims, everyone who passed away, as well as the people who are injured, and they pray for them. So they sound like they just cared for him and like loved him unconditionally, but yeah,
that blows my mind.
Yeah, and they're, you know,
sounds like our parents would do, and like especially if they feel that much remorse. Like imagine like carrying their names around.
Mm-hmm. A list of people's names. Yeah, it's been really hard. It's not only affected the people who were in the theater, but it's also affected his family as well. Anyway, there was nothing major in his life that would have been a huge like red flag, like,
or anything.
Why? Yeah.
No dads or anything really, or.
Yeah, and he's never. Something he mentioned is he's never had any serious injuries, which. Anyway.
Like major broken bones and stuff.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you guys just need to go watch the videos because the whole time I was like.
maybe he was lying really well.
I don't know, and that's the thing is when he talks about his childhood, he makes it seem like everything was not perfect, but like
typical. Like
yeah.
This no big deal, nothing serious. Like I didn't get beaten as a kid. Yeah. It's actually the opposite. I was loved as a kid.
Yeah.
Well, why did you do it?
So he's in college. He has friends. He has a girlfriend. He has support from his family. But he's seeing a school counselor, and he does tell her, "Hey, I've had these violent thoughts in my head. I want to hurt people." He told her, "I want to hurt people." So she knows. The parents do have a conversation about it. According to what the parents say, she did not tell them that he was having those thoughts. And their thought is the counselor was afraid of the HIPAA laws. Mm-hmm. And that's part of their way of making things right, is they want to advocate or raise awareness to medical professionals on what they can and cannot say.
To certain people and or,
help you get helped. To potentially save people from having to go through this or what they've been going through.
Yeah, especially that nature, that status, like you need to be watched or like mental watch.
Yeah. So he did tell her. She said that because he didn't have a previous record, because there's nothing on his record, there's no previous charges or anything like that. There's nothing that she could do. Her hands were basically tied. He couldn't have been arrested because he was just having the thoughts. When she asked him if he had a plan, he said no. She was kind of painted into a corner. She thinks if she violates his privacy, that she's going to get sued.
Yeah, but, doctor, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But the only thing you do is recommend it to another doctor, but...
Well, she was considering putting him on a 48-hour hold.
Yeah,
so basically having him admitted. However, she had made a call with the parents, and they kind of made a game plan where he had limited access to the school campus. I think a couple other things they did, but it was nothing.
So they did. Oh. Well, this sounds weird, but whenever you're sad and someone tries to control your life more, that could be a bad sign. It could make it worse.
It could have.
That's why I don't know. I would have trusted the therapist more than the parents. I don't want to talk bad about him, but if you don't know the whole story,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was shortly before the shooting
Okay.
that all of this was happening. One report said that he wasn't doing well in school and he was about to flunk out.
So he had the 4.0, 3.9, all of a sudden he's about to flunk out.
Yeah.
So
Obviously I tried to look into it. There's not much
there
evidence that I could look into,
like
I
what
guess.
could have been causing him to do that.
Yeah, but this is what someone had said, is that he wasn't doing well. He's about to flunk out. Throughout the videos, James calls that day his mission. Yeah, he calls it his mission. And he continues in the video to lay the whole day out step by step. So I want to go through everything. I want to go through that day.
Stomach.
And what happened step by step as he laid it out, so people can have kind of an insight as to what happened.
I'm just listening. I'm taking this all in from a psychological standpoint.
And I'm just freaking out emotionally for this.
Yeah.
But
There's a lot to it. But there's two major things that stick out to me that add to how horrible this whole thing was. First and foremost, it was well thought out and thoroughly planned. To the smallest detail. It was planned. It was thought of. He had everything mapped out.
He had an escape plan. He knew where people were going to run and stuff.
He had it all planned out. He actually had a notebook that you can view online as well. I found it on Reddit. I can probably screenshot or save it and post it as well. It had all of his inner thoughts, pretty much everything written out as he contemplated how he could achieve his mission, air quotes, among other insights into his brain and his inner workings. So he had a page called Case the Place. This is where he weighed out the pros and cons of this mission that he was set out to accomplish. Targets, random. This is his writing. He writes out, the cruel twists of fate are unkind to the misfortunate.
So you can...
Method. He writes out bombs and then puts an X mark next to it. Too regulated and suspicious. Next line. Biological warfare, in parentheses, too impatient, requires extensive knowledge, chemicals, and equipment. Serial murder, in parentheses, too personal, too much evidence, easily caught, few kills. And then in one of the videos, he stated that he couldn't possibly shoot anyone in the head or point blank because then it becomes too personal.
What?
Yeah.
That's the compassion in him.
Okay.
So, I don't get it, but we're gonna move on. And then mass murder / spree, checkmark. Maximum casualties, easily performed with firearms, primitive in nature, no fear of consequences, being caught 99% certain. So he went into this knowing
he was going to get caught.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he thought it out so thoroughly. He weighed all of his options.
Wow.
Wow. He went on to contemplate in the same kind of style where he should do it, writing down things like airport, explaining why it would be bad, how his message wouldn't be heard because they would just see it as an act of terrorism.
So, what's his message? What the front door?
I'm gonna try and explain it, but I don't get it.
Okay.
Straight up don't get it, but I'm gonna try and explain it as best as I possibly can.
Okay.
He had diagrams drawn of the theater and lined out which theater would be best. He drew a layout of each one. He knew where the exits were. He knew how far they were from other theaters. To the steps, he counted how many steps between theaters there were and wrote it out. I mean, if it was thoroughly, I just cannot overstate how much thought was put into this. It's insane to me. He knew exactly where he needed to park so that he would have easy access to the exit doors. Not only that, he invested in quite a bit of materials for it. He had ballistic pants, a ballistic jacket, a gas mask, a helmet, shotgun, AR-15, 2 handguns, multiple rounds, and tear gas. And that's just what he had on him. He also booby-trapped his apartment with bombs and homemade explosives.
Wow. So if you
yeah.
did get
Which he later says he told them how to disassemble because they said that little kids would get harmed, and that's whenever he backed out.
But,
I know.
movies has kids and innocent people.
Yeah. No, I know. And so his motive, like I said, it's still so confusing. I just, it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. But at one point, can't remember what the counselor asked for the life of me, but he says, "That's the price you have to pay to complete the mission." The counselor asks, "And what is the benefit of that?" He says, "Increasing my self-worth."
Oh.
So in his notebook,
What a guy. Oh my god.
I'm just going to have to post it and everybody else can dissect it. But basically in his notebook, he goes on to explain how life has no meaning, basically. He writes out all these equations and tries to break down the meaning of life and the value of life. It's like he tries to make a formula for it to make sense. And he gets it, but when I look at it, it's just, I don't know. It was really hard for me to totally understand. The way he was talking about it, it's as though for every kill, it adds 1. So everybody equals 1.
Yeah.
And for you to take a life, that adds 1 to you. I don't know. And so...
Like, was he religious at all, or...
Well,
we know
I don't
his parents
think
were
so.
religious.
I don't think he believed in God based on scribblings in his notebook, where he basically questions God.
So, also another question. What does his girlfriend think?
I didn't see anything about what she thought.
Okay, let's say, did she know anything?
Listen, I was so far down the rabbit hole. I was not about to jump into anybody else's conscience or thoughts on this because
if he all of a sudden started doing that, something must have happened to make him question something.
If it did, he didn't say it, and nobody knows. Okay. If he did, then it's between him and whatever happened, because there's no significant reports on any major life events.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if she said anything, or maybe you said nothing with the parents. So,
according to him, he had these thoughts for a long time.
Yeah.
That he wanted to commit some sort of violence. He wanted to kill people. And it's something that he expressed to his girlfriend. So she knew about it, but when people say things like
that, you're like, oh, go talk to your therapist. You're probably just angry.
And he was in therapy, so people thought that he was doing better, that he was getting help.
He started being probably more quiet, and then...
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was assumed that he was getting better because he was seeking out help. But, yeah. So I'm going to go through it step by step as he explained what happened, and I'm going to talk about the day that this happened. So he previously bought the tickets online. He walks into the theater, goes straight to Theater 9, goes to the front row, sits down, waits a minute, pretends he gets a phone call, and walks out the exit, where he had, right outside of the exit, he had parked already. So he walks out the exit. He puts his little table clip in the door, which he explains would keep the door open without letting people see him come in. So he walked to his car, and he explains that he had blacked out his windows. He put a tint film on them so that nobody could see in while he was gearing up. He already had the ballistic pants on. He puts on all of his gear, makes sure his guns are loaded. The counselor, who was prying at this point, he's like, "So what were you feeling? Were you seeing anything? Were you hearing anything?" He's trying to get him to, I guess, talk about not just what's happening, but how...
Like, emotional-wise, what's going on?
He states he was calm and collected. So he explains that as he was getting ready, he opens up his phone and starts to call the student helpline, which he specifically got previously, just in case he decided to turn back and get the help that he needed to stop the process. He says, stop the process. Whatever. So he dials a number, says there's 9 seconds of silence, and then the call ends. So the call didn't connect, it didn't go through or anything.
So that was like a sign?
To him, that was a sign, okay, this is happening, there's no turning back now. So there was a brief moment of hesitation where, what if someone had picked up that phone? What if the call went through? What if he talked to someone? Would that have helped? Would it have been enough? Would those poor souls have been spared. And I mean, it's hard to speculate now after the fact, but yeah, that part just made me I had to pause the video because I was like, wow. I mean, you don't get many insights into someone's mind like this, and to just, I don't know. It was tough for me to hear that, I guess. It makes me feel like we could do better.
Yeah.
You know, like if
Help
that's
each
a
other out
student
more.
helpline and it was down or someone couldn't get through, like, I don't know. So yeah, he states that he went to the website, the school website, earlier that week to get the number in case he decided to stop the process, and then decided afterwards, when the call didn't go through, that it was happening, he was doing it, there's no turning back. So he puts his wireless headphones in, turns up his electronic music, gets out of his car, walks back to the theater, opens his gas canister, his tear gas canister. He has his gas mask on. He's prepared. He has shotgun in hand, AR slung across his chest. He has the handgun in a pouch attached to his belt with multiple loaded magazines. So after he sets off the tear gas, he tosses it to the back of the theater.
Scare him towards him, probably.
Yeah, he tosses it to the back right corner. He states at that point he's on autopilot. So he zones out. Whatever. He states that he saw people attempting to leave, hide under seats, hide behind their seats. And as people are trying to move, he says he first notices the commotion in the top left of the theater. So he fires his shotgun, empties it, tosses it to the ground, and switches to the AR. He said he doesn't recall shooting or aiming at specific people because
he just wanted to spray. Oh.
Yes. So he's firing at random into the stands. He says at one point he sees two people trying to leave, and he does specifically target them and shoot at them. And he says during the interview, I can't have people running away because that means I'm not in control of the situation. I mean, it is hard to sit there and get an insight into someone's brain when I guess I physically cannot understand it.
I can't either.
I don't know.
This is heavy, man.
No, it is really heavy.
This is heavy.
And to hear him talk about it so just matter of fact. Like he was explaining to you how to make a quiche.
Yeah, that's it. Our hearts go out for sure.
Yeah. So he says he remained in that corner. He wanted to add pressure for people. Like he blocked off two exits. So one main aisleway on one side of the stands, and then there was another one on the other side. So there's an exit,
hallway, and then there's one by the other side.
Yeah, there's an exit in the corner where he walked in, and then right across from him is another hallway that people could potentially exit. So he said he kind of wanted to create a pressure valve. He didn't want to block every single exit so that it forced people to attack him or come at him.
He wanted to control the area.
Yeah, but also give people an out so that their only option wasn't to go at him. So he says that he has a clip with 100 rounds and then 2 standard clips. I don't know how many are in a normal one. I think it's about half of that, about 50, 60 rounds, something like that. He gets through most of his first clip, which was the 100 rounds, when the AR misfires. At that point, he attempted to reload, but the mag wouldn't latch. And he tried to put the other mags in, they wouldn't latch. Basically, at that point, he decided to stop, which the cops hadn't gone in yet. There were still people in the theater alive. There was still a whole entire theater of people that he could have went in. He could have killed so many more people, even if he still had most of his handgun rounds too.
Yeah.
I mean, he had so much ammo that he could have kept going if he wanted to. But for whatever reason, God's divine intervention, his gun misfires and he decides he did his damage. He completed his mission and he was done. After attempting to reload, he walks out, tosses the AR on the ground, gets to his car, took off his belt, placed his handgun on top of the car, and that's when the police surround him, arrest him, and take him into custody.
So he didn't try to leave?
He did what he came in to do. He says at this point he speculated maybe killed 3 people, injured 20. That was what he was thinking. But he killed 12 people. His youngest victim was only 6 years old. And he shot and injured over 50 people.
Wow.
Which, from what the parents say, someone was left paraplegic, no longer able to move. So...
I want to say some...
No, I know. It was hard to get through and watch because of how emotionless he was throughout it. And again, could have been the medication, but yeah.
Piece of something, alright.
So he pled not guilty by reason of insanity.
Okay.
Yeah. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
That's it. Oh,
And it took them 3 years
to
come
him?
to that conclusion.
Wow.
Even though it was laid out for them.
Yeah.
So
And he planned everything.
it was all, yeah. So that was part of, I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that come into it. I'm going to touch briefly on it because it's really heavy to kind of sit and digest all of that anyway. But people think that he was drugged and brainwashed to commit the shooting. So some things that people point out is the fact that his only income was unemployment and what his parents would send to him. And yet he buys $10,000 worth of military weapons, equipment, and explosives.
Where'd he get it from?
Explosives over a 2-month span. Exactly. Where did he get it from? So there's no previous experience with firearms. He was denied access to a gun range. And yet, in the background from 911 calls, people have analyzed. They confirmed that they were controlled bursts and no double taps with the pistol, and that he was able to reload very quickly.
Like he knew what he was doing.
Someone speculated, okay, so he has military background. No, he has no history with guns at all whatsoever.
That could be something as simple as just if he had this thought out. That could be something as simple as sitting in his apartment
On YouTube.
just planning and practicing.
Yeah.
On YouTube. That's like...
I mean, if it was that thought out, you don't think he's going to sit there and practice if he doesn't know what he's doing.
That's true. But to learn it in a 2-month span, that's just kind of what people are focusing on. It's like he had 2 months to do that.
Well, if he's been planning it for his whole life... I mean, he's been saying this for his whole life.
I mean, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but if you have the motivation for something, you can learn it really quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what he applied his motive to, but you can learn it really quickly.
Yeah. To me, I guess what's so frustrating for me listening to everything and learning about these poor people who lost their lives, that it was for nothing. I mean, any acts of violence like this are all unnecessary and all completely and totally horrific and inconceivable. But for him to add self-worth, what?
Even though he had potentially everything he could ask for.
He was incredibly intelligent. He had support. He had people who wanted to see him succeed.
Mm-hmm.
From that perspective, though, I mean, growing up with all that support, all that love, having people basically hold your hand to the best of their abilities to help you. To most people, you could see that as support. You could see that as a bright future because he has all the tools he needs. Mm-hmm. But from an internal perspective, for him, it could be, too tight of a grip. It could be he didn't feel the independence he should have had. He, being in college, still having help. There could have been it could have just added up. It could have bottled up.
That's why he didn't feel in charge. That's why, I mentioned earlier with the therapist and his parents, that I could actually push.
Right, because he never had control in his life because someone has always been helping him. So there's a lot of psychological value there that I think would definitely be touched on if we watched all of the YouTube things. But based on this, because it's my full belief, no matter how good or how bad your life was growing up, everybody needs counseling.
Yeah.
And that's just a general statement, because if you have all the love and support in the world, that means you were deprived of physical or material things. But if you have no emotional support and you had all the material things, then obviously you're going to need help learning how to sustain yourself emotionally.
Yeah.
No matter what, everybody needs counseling. And for him, it's really a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Because speaking from personal, my outlet was anger. And for him, that was his outlet. That's how he found control. It's all a matter of choice. We all have these type of, not specifically these type of thoughts, but it's a matter of whether you choose to act on them or not. And that's the bottom line.
And that's why mental health is so important, especially nowadays. Mm-hmm. With everything going on, there's so much anger and hate.
It could have been something as simple as, because if his income was disability or Social Security or anything like that, meaning he probably couldn't get a job, and he may have discovered that no matter how good he was at college, he wasn't going to get a job. It could have been with the amount of help that he was getting from his family, he had no control, he had no independence.
Or even if his girlfriend, loved him to, very core, she could have said something, well, at least I don't get money from my parents, and that could just crush him emotionally.
There's a lot of stuff that we could speculate, but from a general psychological, non-professional opinion, because I don't have my degree, but from a non-professional opinion, that's, I mean, just from his mind itself, I mean, even the mission of self-worth, for him, it could have just been something that he saw on, television series or a movie, or
that's like
because subconsciously he could have chosen the movies because all of this started because he saw a movie, and that put an idea in his head of how he could get control.
Well, that's why all these serial killers and murderers and stuff, you remember their name but you never remember the victims. That's why it's so messed up. Like I said, Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy.
Mm-hmm.
You know all his victims? No. Jeffrey Dahmer.
I gotta say though, not to get off topic, if we can, check out that new Netflix, Ted Bundy. It's really good. They show a list of all of his victims at the end.
Yeah.
That was very cool. But I agree with you completely on that topic.
Especially even just famous people in movies or just in general. Like you remember people like a movie star. We don't remember where they came from or what. Family or
even then, like if you're watching a sporting event and somebody jumps in and disrupts the game, they're running across the field, the cameras are instructed not to show them, because if you give them that praise, you give them that TV time, more people are going to do it.
Yeah.
So I think we need to take that approach to things like this. Like, do not share their name, do not give them that glorification of what they did.
Try to remember the heroes or the victims instead of the...
As we dedicate a podcast to talking about murder.
It's contradicting. I know.
But this is why we can help you
But that would also add mystery to our podcast too. Like, somebody did this and they're not releasing the name, and we're glad they're not. So these are the victims. This is what happened to them. Let's tell their story.
Yeah.
Let's say.
And I think we should have a list of some of the victims and stuff, and just
we can pay tribute to them for sure.
Yeah.
Our hearts go out. It was a very heavy story. I think all of us...
It was hard to get through.
Kaylee was having trouble talking about it. We were having trouble listening.
I want to say so much, but I'm not allowed to right now because of swear words and just anger. I don't want to be angry.
It is an unfortunate circumstance, something that's out of the control of most people. And I know that the worry was, if somebody had picked up that phone, maybe it would have changed his mind. So, I mean, there was definitely some thought in him not to do it, but with how prepared he was and how much he thought it through, if it didn't happen then, it would have happened later.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too, is him saying, oh, I can't shoot people in the head. That's too personal. Or when he said...
I don't want to go after kids, but look what happened.
Like, in one of the interrogation videos, he asked, were any kids harmed? And he seems genuinely concerned. So how can you have that little bit of compassion and empathy and then just shut it? I just don't. I guess I have a hard time wrapping my head around
the concept.
How can you just shut it off? But he did. He shut it all down.
He justified it in a way that he would be comfortable doing it. And just like you said, he chose a specific movie with should be specific ages, and that's just one of those things where he did everything he could to justify it without the consideration of, hey, there might be some younger adolescents or children going to see a movie about a superhero.
Or a brother taking the little brother or something.
Because...
It breaks my heart.
And when it comes to what empathy he did have for children and the compassion that he was portraying in these videos comes from his family helping him, that compassion that they showed to him. Even though he still rebelled in a very, very horrible way,
dark, evil way,
there's still that piece of compassion because that's what he grew up with. You can't get rid of that, just like you can't get rid of the bad things that happen. It's just something you have to learn to live with. So, I mean, again, from a standpoint from the psychological, I can see where it comes in because it's all the pieces are there. Just, I guarantee if we watch the videos, it'll all come together very easily and we'll be able to understand it a lot better.
Yeah.
But a very, very heavy topic.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But it was...
It's one of the main ones out here for Colorado.
For me to have the insight was, I don't want to say, I mean, oh my gosh.
It makes you want to do something. It makes you want to help, because stuff like this is happening more and more often.
Or especially when someone comes to you and say, hey, I'm not feeling this, like I'm feeling like this. Instead of saying, okay, let me talk to you later, you should really put everything aside and say, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Like, it makes you want to actually be more involved and help people.
Yeah, we absolutely need to put mental health first, and it comes down to the point of, if someone reveals to you that they're having violent thoughts in their head in any sort of way, whether it's said passively or as a joke, whatever it may be, we need to make note of that. We need to take it seriously. And you know what? It's better that your friend never talks to you ever again for you going to someone and saying, hey, this needs to be checked on or this needs to be figured out, than someone to go into a theater and
do this.
In reality, it's not going to stop. There's always going to be somebody. There's always going to be a circumstance for things to go wrong.
There's always going to be evil and darkness in the world.
We could definitely lessen it if more people got involved, or more people understood. Because everybody understands the sign for emergency situations like a stroke or CPR or when to call 911. But maybe there should be a national list of recognizing a dangerous situation. Something that's not going to cause a lot of problems to pinpoint random people like Jeff to go and affect somebody, but there's got to be something we can do more, and not just as individuals but as a nation too.
As a country,
we have so many resources at our fingertips too now. You can basically text counselors and download the app, where I'm gonna have to find it, and no, we're not endorsed by them, but I think it's like bettercare.org.
Yeah
Where you can be matched with a counselor almost immediately and start talking to someone right away.
Yeah, or like just talk to your friend or someone close to you.
And that's what's hard too, is from personal experience. I didn't even know I had problems. And that's the whole thing.
It really does. Yeah, really. I grew up like that too.
You think what you are and who you are is normal, but the bottom line is what's normal to you is weird to someone else. There's no such thing as normal.
Yeah. Or like one little thing to you might be like, okay, that's not a big a deal, but then you actually think about it older in life, you're like, wow, that actually was a big deal.
Yeah. Either way, it was a great topic today. It was very heavy. Our hearts go out to the people of Colorado and the victims, for sure, because it was not easy for you to talk about.
I struggled.
It was not easy for us to listen to, but I really think people need to hear the inside story, because I never knew any of that. I only knew what happened. I barely even knew his name.
Yeah. And it is very recent, so, I knew that it was still a sore spot, but I didn't know
that much.
Yeah, like
I didn't know that much either. I just basics. I heard basics too.
It's not every day that you can sit and listen to
the interview.
A killer pretty much lay out word for word, step by step, how he did what he did and
why. And
yeah, so I hate to say it's interesting. I guess it's. I just don't even know.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, no matter what, it's hard to wrap your brain around, because there are people that seem completely ordinary, extremely nice, but you don't know what's going on inside. It is crazy, but it's a great story, and people need to hear it. We appreciate you guys listening. Make sure you like and share as much as you can.
Yeah. So on Apple Podcasts, when you like, subscribe, and rate our podcast, it gives us a lot more exposure. So do that.
Yes.
Like us on Facebook,
Help
YouTube, everything. Comment, talk to us. We'll talk back.
Share it with your friends, family, everybody.
Yeah, and don't forget, we do have an email. It's unitedstatesofhorror@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @US of Horror, and our Instagram is United States of Horror. So we're also on YouTube now. I've uploaded the first episode and the second episode, actually.
Awesome.
So they're both on YouTube. You can subscribe if that's your preferred way to listen. And we do have a Facebook page. You just have to search the United States of Horror, or it's facebook.com/United States of Horror.
And if you have an iPhone, the Spotify app is automatically there.
Yeah.
So that's where I listen to it mostly.
Yeah, so we're on basically all platforms now, I'd like to say.
Choose your favorite.
Maybe we might get MySpace. You never know.
Shut up, Jeff. That's not a thing anymore.
Yes, it is.
Get out of my space. All right.
Your space here or MySpace?
All right. If you guys have any good ideas, send them our way.
Shout out to anybody who commented with some interesting stories or topics. We really appreciate it.
All right. So we're going to do something new. To end off our podcast, we're going to tell you one crazy law that's still in the books for whatever state we are talking about. So, in Aspen, Colorado specifically, the medieval practice of using catapults to attack your enemies is strictly forbidden.
Awesome. Dang it.
So if you're in Aspen, put your catapults away.
How do they find... Okay. Thank you.
We could just leave it at that.
Thank you. Let the viewers...
It is illegal to use a catapult.
So holster those catapults, babies.
Yes. Unless they're holstered, right? Is that the thing? Is it? No?
Sure.
Holster it.
Oh, boy.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Now catapult out of here, guys.
Shut up, Jeff.
Shut up, Jeff. Bye.
Bye.